Welcome to this session of Teens, Tools, and Hope, a parent and educator online series. And tonight, I'm so excited to welcome my dear friend and WOW collaborator, Leon Campbell Jr. He has been director of Youth and Family Ministry at Agape International Spiritual Center since 2004. And I met him about 2007 or 8. AgapeLive.com has one of the largest spiritual youth communities in the country, serving over 1,000 children per month. And he's developed, by the way, I know this very well because we've used it in our WOW programs, a comprehensive youth curriculum featuring original programs encompassing self-expression, creativity, character development, universal principles, sacred rituals, and service projects for youth of all ages. He's traveled to Sri Lanka to work with school children, to Kenya as a philanthropic ambassador for youth, and to South Korea to support family yoga programs. So we're so happy to have him here today. Welcome, Leon. And how you doing today?
I'm excited. I'm extremely excited because this is an idea whose time has come, this idea about WOW Learning Lab. We get a chance to help parents and educators give birth to a whole new era of young people who are ready to create a renaissance on the planet. When I say a renaissance, it's a renaissance of connection and love and a lot of great changes. And it's exciting because I see so many young people now who are far advanced in technology and the environmental issues and social issues, politics. Oh my God, it's exciting. And they're just popping up all over the world. And so we're in a very exciting time. And I want to thank all you parents for being here and all you educators who are here, who are ready to join them, who are ready to support them, who are willing to be the wind beneath their wings. So thank you all. And I wanted to take a moment and I want to share with you some of my thoughts, and then I want to share with you some of the slides that I put together. And what I want to do is I'm going to bring this up.
Thank you, Leon.
Can you see this? Can you see it, Judy?
Pretty soon, I'm sure. Not quite yet.
Okay. So let me do it this way. I'm going to bring that down, bring you out, bring this up. I have to talk myself through it, okay? All right, so now you should be able to see it. Do you see it now?
There we go. Yes, we see. Maybe you can make it a full screen.
That's what I'm going to do.
Awesome. Yes, I can see it perfectly. I love the graphic. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to make it full screen. So welcome, everybody. And this isn't, like I said earlier, an idea whose time has come. And so one of the ways that we meet teens where they are is we first become aware that we're examples. And one of the things that I do when I perform baby christenings, I let the parents and the godparents know that this old proverb from Africa that says it takes a village to raise a child, but I add this to it. It also takes a child to raise a village. In other words, what you're doing now, your behavior, etc., is having an effect on the child. They're watching you more than they're listening. And there will come a time when they're listening more to who you are and what you do than what you say. And so it's important to remember what Emerson says. Emerson says that who you are speaks so loud that I cannot hear what you say. So it's important that we become examples. And some of the most important examples are our personal examples. And if you can have visual aids, not exactly like an educator, because you educators, you have visual aids, but it's important that we began to become storytellers. I tell stories to our teenagers a lot, and that seems to engage them at another level as opposed to lecturing and lecturing and lecturing and lecturing. But stories begin to engage them at a higher level. And there's so many great stories out there that we can tell. But that's one of the things I do. And so I just wanted to say one of the goals I convey to parents is to prepare and support the teens to be proactive in life. Many times we only prepare when there are things that have happened, trauma has happened, events that happen that get our attention. But I invite them to be proactive so that the teens are prepared for whatever they encounter in life. And they should understand that we live in a mental and a spiritual world. I'm going to say it again, a mental and a spiritual world, and I'll explain that a little later. And whatever is in your life is the material expression of your beliefs. In other words, many times people live from the outside in, expecting things to change, or working for change, struggling for change, manipulating, thinking that change comes from the outside in. But change and the work proactively starts within. Our job is to help them know that they are powerful beyond comparison. Now, here's a key to it. Always reminding them that they are powerful beyond comparison. In other words, you are unique to all the world. I have young people look at their hands a lot, and I look at the unique print, the unique design that's in their hands. And many times they look at me and say, oh, it's just a hand. But I say, if you look closely, you begin to see this unique pattern, this unique print to all the world. You're the only one with this print. You're the only one. And they tell me there's 8 billion of us on the planet. And so this print, this unique print is unique to you. And why is it in your hand? Because you have something to give. You have something unique to bring to the world. And so we're starting to build them up from within. In other words, every time you are in communication with your child, with your teen, you begin to be like a reinforcer. You begin to be like a coach. And again, you're going to be having fun also. But I want you to know that if we have a choice, I'm going to ask you to choose from the perspective of, let's bring out the best. I know it's in you. In other words, we begin to see the butterfly now. We begin to encourage. We begin to see what's not visible with our eyes at this point. We begin to figuratively stand at the finish line every day and begin to say, I know you could do it. I know you would do it. My bet is on you. You're so gifted. You're so unique to all the world. And so we begin to live from the inside out. And so many times we see the outside world as cause and ourselves as the effect. And this scenario can create victim mentality. But we are not victims. We are victors, and we have the tools needed. We see it every day. In some of the most unlikely scenarios and cases, we begin to see people out of nowhere rise up. And again, we begin to show them it starts from within. I want to help the youth see themselves as cause and the world as an effect. I am teaching a child to work with the spiritual and physical laws to bring them to a place of peace. And that's where it begins. To bring them to a place of confidence, to bring them to a place of joy. And this, from this purview, you have a greater chance of helping them weather the storms of life, because we all get a chance to be in the storms of life. And once you do that, you are developing and you provide the leadership needed for them to create a whole new era, a whole new era. I want to help the youth see themselves as the cause and the world as the effect. And let's be clear, when I talk about spirituality, I'm not talking about a particular faith or religion. I'm talking about universal laws that govern this world. And so when I say that, I mean the things that I teach, it can be practiced by a Christian, by a Catholic, by an atheist, by a Buddhist, by a Sikh. And the lessons that I'm going to share with you today can serve as aids to teach higher principles to your teens. So we're not talking about religion. We're not talking about a particular faith. We're talking about universal laws. Okay? In the majority of my programs, I express that you use examples. Even if you want to use nature as an example. Examples allow us to communicate beyond the ears. I want to say that again. Examples allow us to communicate beyond the ears. One of the top examples for our youth is you. There's no coincidence that you are in this particular young person's life. You have everything that's needed in order for them to be supported and provide the resources for them. And I talk about the North Star effect with parents. Many parents make a mistake and try to be friends with their teens, but that's not what you want. But because teens need support and guidance, they need boundaries. They need to know that you have their back. They need to know that I want to just go out and just play and have fun with abandonment, but I also need to know that you have my back. You're there like holding vigil, so to speak. You're quietly holding them in the high esteem, safety and love. You continue to support and buoy them with a platform of love and safety. The North Star is a consistent guidance system that leads the way. Many parents make the mistake and try to be friends, but that's not what you want to do. And so the role of the parent is to be a shining example of what you like your child to exhibit. Even when you fall, even when you fail, I want you to be honest and clear with your youth. And I want you to admit that I make mistakes also. I want you to be just that honest and humble with them. And so it's important that you become the North Star. And basically, if you watch the North Star, if you look at the North Star, you begin to see that the North Star, all it does is shine. It's being reinforced from within. It shines, it shines, it shines, it shines, it shines. And so it's important that you begin to connect at this level, at the inner level. And so another thing that I talk to parents about, let me just move this up a bit, is to communicate beyond the senses. The principles I share are caught, not taught. I'm going to say that again. They're caught, not taught. In other words, you don't have to worry about, are you getting this? Are you getting this? Am I getting this? Because if you continue to be an example of the North Star, they will catch who you are. They will catch what you're talking about. They will catch what you're doing. And suddenly out of nowhere, they say, I see what you're saying. Ah, I remember when you did this. I remember when you said this. I remember when you showed up at my class. I remember when you um, shared something with me. And I look back and I see how much a difference that has made in my life. And so the principles that I share are caught, not taught. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. I do, I understand. It is reported that we remember only 10% of what we hear, 25% of what we see, and 90% of what we do. So it's important, if you're going to connect with your teen or you're going to connect with your young person, you must remember that only 10% of what we hear, we remember only 10%. So it's important that we begin to connect at various levels, hearing, seeing, and then also we begin to participate with them kinesthetically. We get out and do things, and we'll talk a little bit more about kinesthetics, but it's important that you begin, if your child's a kinesthetic person, we'll talk about these learning styles. It's important that there's times when you want to get out of the house and just walk around the park. You want to get active. And now you're dialing in to different levels of the senses. Examples are most effective because language only attempts to define what is indefinable. I'm going to say that again. Language attempts to define what is indefinable. Words are often describe what each of us knows in our hearts and our souls. And I don't want you to assume that these children don't understand or these teenagers don't understand. I want you to know that you're just speaking and giving examples of things they already know, and remind them that they're not empty vessels to be filled. And so I want you to create a space in your home that's open to their ideas. Even if they don't make sense, even if their ideas don't make sense. I want you to be open to listening. And people say, well, that sounds, I do listen to my child. Are you, or are you preparing what you're going to talk about while they're speaking? And they can tell when you're not listening. Listening opens up the space for them to hear themselves. And that's the greatest gift that you can give them. Listening opens the space where they can hear themselves. Many times when I have clients and I sit on my hands to let me know that I just want you to listen as long as it takes. Many times I listen to my clients for 30 minutes to an hour. And sometimes they would jump up and say, Reverend Leon, I feel so good. Thank you so much. You've helped me greatly. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. I never said a word. And so your teens they probably won't hear what you're saying, but guess what? They hear what they're saying. And that's the most important part. And so if you're lecturing, I'm going to ask you to begin to totally move out of that place of lecturing. And many times lecturing has a motivation or impetus to get them to correct and save and fix. And that's not what you want to do. You don't want to come across as fixing. You want to let them know that there's no need to fix. We're not fixing you. You're perfect just the way you are. And people have a very hard time with that word perfect, but I'm going to be totally honest with you. Many times our human definition of perfect has to do with comparison. I let the youth, I let the children know, I let the teens know that you're perfect as you. You're perfect as you. And so we get away from that comparison, imitation. If you notice, there's no two grains of sand alike. There's no two blades of grass alike. There's no two rainbows. No two raindrops, snowfalls alike. Everything is uniquely different. It seems that the universe is not interested in duplication. So why do we try so hard to be like someone else or try to make our children like someone else? Celebrate their wins, no matter how big or small. Celebrate their wins. And again, to remind them, you have seen and you're looking at a butterfly, not a caterpillar. You're not harping about what a difference it would make if you, on a regular basis, said, you're so smart, you're so beautiful, you're so brilliant. I love the way you do this. I love the way you do that. And guess what? Even if you don't see it fully, I want you to keep reinforcing that until you see it, until you see it, until you see it. And they're going to remember that. And they're going to come back to you and says, Mom, Dad, or teacher, you believed in me this whole time. I love it when people win awards on television and they give acknowledgement to their friends and family. And they say to some of them, thank you for believing me. I don't know how would I did this without you. So you're going to help them change the tapes, because many times people say, well, I'm so this, I'm so clumsy, I'm so that I can't make it, et cetera, et cetera. But when they're around you, it's a whole different story. See the butterfly now. Parents should be aware that their children, their teens are not empty vessels to be filled. They arrived on the planet with unique gifts, and your job is to remind them of their uniqueness. A key to a child's development is to draw them out. In other words, the root or the basic definition of in child development is the ability to draw them out. And so when you send them to school, the great educators know that they are not dumping knowledge on a child, but they're here to reveal the gifts that they already have. I heard a great educator in Chicago say this many, many years ago. She said that you cannot rise to low expectations. In other words, the child cannot rise to low expectations. I used to have a teacher would say on day one in her class, everybody's an A student right now. The only way you can drop or fall from that, it's up to you. But right now, you're all A students. And I want you to maintain that throughout the semester. That made a difference to me. And so the goal in my classroom is to turn on the light bulb in every child. When I go in, I want to see those bright eyes. I want to see those. I go in and I say, every child is brilliant material. Hello. Every child is brilliant potential, brilliant possibilities. And I make sure I'm not looking to duplicate anything or for them to be like this and for them to be like that. But I'm looking at their own uniqueness, and we celebrate. Don't forget, it's always crucial that you celebrate. One of the goals of communicating or teaching our teenagers is to build their self-esteem. Always help them feel good about themselves. And I've been sort of reiterating that throughout the talk. Always help them to feel good about themselves. I want you to help your teens find out who they really are. And one of the things I love about this whole era, this whole new youth and parents that's emerging, it's rare that you hear them trying to force them in professions that will make them money. My father used to always say, "Why are you singing? You can't make any money singing." But I don't hear that from parents as much as I used to when I was a child. In other words, you find out what they're good at. I don't care if it's speech writing. I don't care if it's chair making. I don't care if it's music. I don't care if it's chemistry, biology. Find out what they're good at. And what they love to do. Find out what they love to do. And that's one of the best ways to connect with them. When you help a teen identify and respect their strengths, interests, talents, and needs, you give insight to their gifts or superpowers. You're going to remind them constantly, you came here with a superpower. Oh, yes, you've always been my superhero. You've always been my superhero. And guess what, people? Because people say, oh, I can't say that, I'll sound phony. But guess what? If you just wait, and you continue to see it, they will be it. And so when children know their uniqueness is respected, they are more likely to put them to use. And so I want to make sure my time is good. It looks like we're good. Okay.
Yes, this is so exciting. Thank you, Leon. Your wisdom is lovely. I appreciate it.
And so one of the other things I want parents to be aware of is that I want them to become your partner, not a friend, but I want them to be actively engaged in the household. In other words, they're like on the household's board of trustees or board of directors. You seek advice, you seek information that they can share with you. And so I recommend that you give them chores that you can work alongside them. In other words, when you're cooking, and many parents do this already, but when you're cooking, allow them to chop the vegetables safely if they're old enough. If you're working out in the garage on any particular thing, I ask that you get them to be your chief assistant. So you're not just pointing and saying, go do that. But, would you like to help me pay the bills? We always wonder why children, we're not good at certain things in life because we've never been trained and the schools don't teach us that. But I'm going to ask you to solicit them as your chief assistant in things. And you begin to open up with storytelling, and you begin to open up with listening. You begin to open up to connect and engage. Because you don't want to force anything. You want it to be a natural progression, a natural synergy. And that way you can continue to encourage them. You've done a good job. I love this. You find some aspect of their assistance with you that you can give praise on. And again, you're not being a phony. You're not looking at the situation as some fake connection. But acts of teamwork will help build their self-esteem, and they will start to trust you. because they know when they're not doing a good job. They know when they're doing a not so good job. They know that. But you're not going to harp on that. Oh, we'll get it next time. Oh, you're new to this. And another thing I would like to see more parents do is that let them know when you don't know a particular subject or a particular thing. But I want you to say to them, but take my hand and let's find that out together. I'm going to ask you to go on the internet and I'll research over here, and let's get back together tomorrow and let's see what we come up with. I want you to help remember, you're like a coach, more than a parent. You're not their friend. You're going to work with them like we work with star athletes. You're going to work with them like you're going to work with their mind, body, and their soul. I want you to help them use their imagination as much as you can. To let them know, like Einstein says, imagination is far more important than knowledge. Lead them to explore their world regularly. Because again, you're working from the inside out. So you're going to work with them with their imagination. I want you to encourage questions. And not give them the impression that to impress you with answers all the time. Let's explore as much as you can. I want you to encourage questions, and then you will create a safety net in your relationships. You will instill hope that translates into action. Okay? And then the final part about this is in order to connect and get to know your child, I want you to learn their learning styles. I'm just going to deal with the three major ones, but I want you to first find out what's your learning style. For instance, one of my major learning styles is audio. There's three learning styles. There's visual, auditory, and then there's kinesthetic. And so I'm an auditory person. I could sit and listen to lectures. I could sit and listen to what's those books that you can put in your car? Those auditory books. I can listen all day to that. But for some people, that would drive them crazy. They need to get out and start doing the work, or they need to look at things from a visual perspective. I have a friend, every time we go to the movies, she would just be looking at the movie and she'll say, oh man, watch what's going to happen. Just by watching, where I have to hear the dialogue or I'm not having a good time. Like, what did they say? Because I have to hear the dialogue, but I'm an auditory person. So when I teach the class, I make sure that I introduce a variety of styles. I spend only a less percentage in auditory and other lecturing, but a lot of the time I spent is in kinesthetic and letting them do what we just talked about. Okay. We recently concluded a mandala workshop online with our youth, and the attendance increased by 50%. There was and I was just excited because here were the children asking, let us do something. In other words, they got so excited about coloring these mandalas. And we would give them a spiritual background, and we would let them know that they are magic circles and it's a good way to help you meditate, things like that. And they got a chance to experiencing that by coloring their own mandalas. And so the first learning style is visual. And these are just some of the characteristics. But visual learners are those who learn through seeing things. Here's some of the characteristics. It's good at spelling, but forgets names. Needs quiet study time. These are things that it's important for you as a parent. Has to think a while before understanding the lecture. These are important things to know, not only as a parent, but as an educator. The visual learner is good at spelling, likes colors and fashion, dreams in colors, understands charts, is good with sign language, makes an outline of everything. I'm just giving you additional ones that you can work with. Copies what's on the board. You'll see them, even though the educator or the teacher would say you don't have to write this down. But the visual learner, that's the way they learn. Takes notes, makes lists, watches videos. And so these are some of the things that you need to be aware of. They use highlighters a lot. They circle words. And the best type of test for the visual learner as you're talking with their teacher is diagramming, reading maps, essays. If you're studying, use an outline and show the process. Some of the things that they're not so good at, the visual learner, is listen and respond tests. And so we want to be aware of these things. And many times the visual, the kinesthetic, and the auditory learner, they melt into. Sometimes some people are both. You just never know. But it's important that you learn this. Auditory, now this is my category. Auditory learners are those who learn best through hearing things. Likes to read to self out loud. I was the kid in the class that would always stand up and love to read out loud. And many people thought I was showing off. But that was the way I was able to comprehend the story. Not afraid to speak in class. I loved oral reports. Is good at explaining. Remembers names. Notice sound effects in movies. And enjoys music. So that's my category there. And so when you look at an auditory person, they do well in these type of tests, and that is good at writing responses to lectures they've heard. They're good at oral exams. And the test that they probably are not so good at is reading passages and writing answers about them in a timed test. Now, here is the kinesthetic characteristics, and many children fall into this category because they learn through experiencing or doing things, especially if your child's an athlete. Is good at sports, and they can't sit long. In other words, they're fidgety. And you have to be aware of that. I remember many years ago, I had one of my teenagers. I was watching him in an English class, and he continued to take his pencils and start doing the drum beats on the desk. And the teacher looked over at me and she recommended, she says, can we have him go over to the music class? And he excelled greatly. Now, does that mean he doesn't have to do English? But now we understand him and we can better communicate and can better connect with this child who's very kinesthetic, a learner. Does not have great handwriting, likes the science labs, studies with loud music on, and that used to really confuse a lot of parents. Turn that music down. Well, they're very fine at studying with loud music. Takes breaks when studying often and is fidgety doing lectures. Okay. And so the best type of test is they're good at writing responses to lectures. Let me go over to the kinesthetic. There are more long test essays, no, I'm sorry. short definition, fill-ins, and multiple choice. And the test that they're not that well in is long test or essay. And so I just give you some of the things that I've experienced over my 30 years of teaching and working with children. And but one of the most important takeaways is that let's begin to work with them from the inside out. We begin to work with their self-esteem. We begin to see the butterfly now. We discontinue harping upon the caterpillar stage and what we see with our physical eyes. Our goal is to draw them out. Again, they're not empty vessels to be filled, but we begin to draw them out. And we work with them, we work with them, we work with them, we work with them until it manifests. So I can go on, but I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank Judy Julin in this wonderful idea of the world of WOW Learning Lab, a living and learning laboratory for human potential. And if you guys have any questions, let's entertain questions right now. 1 minute over. It was 45 minutes. We're going to have 15-minute Q&A.
That's perfectly. And we can stop sharing screen if you want to.
Okay.
And before we finish, I'll talk about our next speaker, but we just want to focus on you for right now. So thank you so much. That was wonderful. I've had the joy and pleasure of knowing Leon for many years and working with him in all over the world. He and Deb and I and a few of our other colleagues. And I see you have your hand raised, dear Betsy. But I love you, Leon, and I haven't heard your talk in a while. And it's just seasoned so beautifully with rich insights, and it comes from your heart. So thank you so much. And Betsy, please.
Hi, Betsy.
Hi, Leon. My ministers are with Agape. Do you know Marilyn Pells and Kent Pells?
I sure do. Marilyn is the
Yeah.
minister in Ojai, right?
No, she's in San Jose.
Okay. All right. I'm thinking
Yeah,
of Marilyn.
right. And so I like a lot of the work that you guys do. We were like an associated church with Center for Spiritual Living in San Jose. And Michael Beckwith at one point was Church of Religious Science. And so my daughter was raised in the youth program there and really had a lot. It really helped her confidence when she was a teenager. And they did a lot of ice-breaking games. And now I have a group, like a family group of parents of teens and preteens and teens. And this is our second year. And what I'm trying to do is get a lot of really good icebreaker games where the kids can get all together and share and doing activities where they can feel like one with everybody and connected. And I'm wondering if you have any ideas of books that you like that have these things, or ideas of some get connecting games like that you can do that have been successful with your teams.
I have tons of books I can send you. I mean, tons of names of books I can send you. I have a book that's devoted completely to preteens.
Oh,
Icebreaker games, and it's a big manual. But I think that's a great way to help them learn kinesthetically, and a good way to get them to meet one another. And it's a great way to break out of the shell of shyness and things like that. Because once they get to meet one another, they begin to see that we're all alike and we all want the same thing. So
right. So like right now, it's the second year. So kids are like in clusters, and they may not want to hang around with this one or that one. And so that's why I want to bring everyone together as a united group where I have things in common with everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me see what's the best way to do. Can you send me an email, and I want you to send it to Leon Shines.
Leon Shines. Yeah.
And with an S at the end, Leon Shines 1 at gmail.com.
Okay.
You can either send it there or you can send it to Rev Leon. You can just go to Agape and get my email from Agape's website.
This is good if this works. Yeah.
It works perfectly. And I will send you some recommended books, okay?
And Betsy, if you
Okay,
have a
thank you so
challenge,
much.
you just let me know, because I talk to Leon regularly, I'm happy to
Yeah.
say.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No, I would be happy to do that for you.
Thank you.
And Leon, we have someone all the way from the jungles of Indonesia joining us tonight. And her name happens to be Beverly, and there she is.
Hey, Beverly.
Yeah, and during your talk, there was doves appearing and a beautiful white crane, just so you know.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, no, I really appreciate hearing your talk here thousands of miles away, because I have a teen, and I have a teen here with me that it was good to be reminded about her wings, to make sure she gets her wings, and how important it is for her to be with peers. I know that she's a little bit isolated here a bit. So she's, they're running to the cell phones and just trying to connect as much as they can with friends, but also giving her that time to kind of try to get away from that phone and explore nature, and just kind of exciting her about it, because she's a very visual person, and that's what I appreciate about you talking about. And sorry if there's some sounds in the back. We have some workers here, and so appreciate the characteristics. I've always kind of felt that that's so important, and that's the problem with the classroom a lot of times, is they're trying to get to a goal, and that goal of the teacher, and they don't have time to really understand the learning styles. But I just want to say I appreciate, I don't know how long this guy's going to be making this bamboo light.
Hey, Beverly, I want to share with you really quickly.
I'm going to mute. I'm going to mute.
No, I can hear you fine. But Beverly, I want to share with you briefly. One year, each year we would go up to Big Bear, and we would have a camp for our preteens and teens. And the name of one year, our theme was, it was our e-camp, but it had nothing to do with electronics. It had to do with the environment. It had to do with entertainment. It had to do with exercise, all those E's, but no, because I told them, I said, you're going to have to leave your phones, your laptops, and your tablets at home. I said, if you bring your phone, you can't use it until late at night if you need to contact your parents. And we had no use of phones because, they couldn't call anybody anyway when they were up there in the mountains. We were 7,000 feet in the mountains. And on day 3, the teenagers would come to me one by one, and they said, Reverend Leon, can we stay another week? Because what this did is it forced us to begin to look at each other in the eyes. We had heartfelt, heart-to-heart conversations. We began to speak to one another through our vulnerability, but it was called E-Camp. And they were taking care of one another at such a profound level. And they wanted to stay. You should see the tears. And then one of the youth said, Reverend Land, he says, I was angry at my sister. And I said, why? He said, because she said happy birthday to me on Facebook. And I wanted her to call me. I wanted to speak to her. And so these young people are looking for connection. They really are, but we have to provide the space. We have to provide the portal that they begin to connect one another, because that's what we all long. We long the human touch. We long the word. We long, to speak to one another. That's why it was so difficult during COVID, because we long the connection. We long to be connected. But that's what I wanted to share with you, Beverly. So thank you. Thank you for the work you're doing.
And, Betsy and all the other people on the call, Leon was a part of our Teen Freedom Fest summer camp last summer in Southern California, and he did the spoken word with the kids. It was, could someone share more on, wait, let's see if somebody's asking something. Oh, sure. I will do that, Michelle. We had a question in the chat. But I just love working with you, Leon. We've been through so many things together all over the world. And now Beverly's coming from another part of the world. We have a question from someone, and she said, could someone share more on Cosmic Kids? Wow, that's a blast from the past. And what's happening with this organization and curriculum these days? Just knew about it a bit in LA. So this is from Michelle. Well, Michelle, I launched Cosmic Kids in Hollywood, California in 2007 at the Hollywood Highland Center. And we opened up, and if you go on the Wow Learning Lab website, wowlearninglab.com, you'll see all about Cosmic Kids in Hollywood. And then we went to Tarzana, wonderful curriculum. We still use that curriculum. In fact, we use that curriculum. It's mostly for like 5 to 9-year-olds, right, Leon? And Deb was there too. But we still use that curriculum when we went to Croatia with Mind Valley, because we had ages 2 through 17, 5 days a week for 1 solid month. And some of them didn't even speak English. So was that a kooky, wonderful, crazy time? But so that curriculum is still alive and well. That decor, those beautiful play pyramids and the star signs are still alive and well. In fact, I just said hello to them in storage today. And so we bring them out from time to time. But that curriculum is an integral part of what we do at all of our camps. We had an online program called Cosmic Kids World, where kids ages 5 to 9 went online and visited an online world with their parents and had different experiences. And we highlighted that curriculum. So thanks. I love hearing about Cosmic Kids. It was launched in 2006. And actually it was launched in 2003 at the Chopra Center for Wellbeing, that I developed Deepak's children's program, and I called it Cosmic Kids, and I built it into a business. So that's that story. Any other questions, comments? I would like to show one little quick thing here, that if you thought this was a lot of great information, we've got even more great information coming up on May 16th. Yendra Shen and her intuitive parenting will be here to talk. That's 2 weeks from tonight. And boy, oh boy, she's a wealth of knowledge. She's a Canadian. She'll be here kindly enough. It'll be 10 o'clock at night for her. And she has lots to share about, really, it's kind of what Leon talks about, and it's parenting from the heart. So I want you all to, you can go on Ticket Leap and register for that. So I wanted to just say thank you, Leon, and thank you to all of our speakers, Beverly, who and Betsy and Deb and Penelope, who we all work with in the teen group every other week. So anybody else have any thoughts or questions or ideas?
I just wanted to say thank you, Leon, for putting together the PowerPoint. It's going to be a great resource for parents, and it's good for me and others to just go over the bells that you hit that we need to be reminded. So I appreciate that, and I know that it'll go far. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly.
And this is going to be recorded. Well, it is recorded, so we can access it on YouTube, and it'll be done in about a week or so. So I will send that out. But I will say for this evening, arrivederci from Santa Monica, California, all the way to the jungles of Indonesia and up in Northern California. We love you, Leon. He lives in Larchmont. Thank you, Deborah Coyle. And stay safe, stay healthy, and we love you all.
Yes.
Thank you, Leon.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Wow, the place is amazing, Beverly. My God.